everybody! First of all, to those of you who actually finished Inktober, oh my god, congratulations. It is hard. I did not expect how much of a challenge it would be to actually sit down and draw every day. Even though I was doing simple drawings, they were more like a bit elaborated sketches, some of them. And I guess disclaimer right now, I did not finish Inktober, and the reason why I'm still going to show it to you is because even though I didn't do 31 drawings in 31 days, I still got something from it. It was still helpful. It was still a challenge that I would want to do again because regardless of finishing or not finishing, I did get the benefit of the purpose of the challenge. Jake Parker created Inktober for it to be a way to improve your skill using ink, of course, or whatever medium you decided to use. And regardless of how many drawings I made, I did draw more throughout this month than I have possibly in the past few months combined, which is not great to say, but Inktober did help for me to get into much better drawing habits, and I really think that will stick. I really think now I have realized with this challenge, oh, maybe I can't draw every day, but it doesn't have to be a full piece every time, and it'll just come out however it will come out. So because that was my purpose and my goal with this challenge, I decided to really limit myself in terms of how I will draw and what materials I will use. What you see here is basically all I used for Inktober. I would draw all of the sketches with the Platinum Preppy fountain pen with an extra fine nib, and then I used Diamine Damson ink inside of that pen every single time. Did not change it, just refilled it a few times throughout the month. And then I also decided to use the opportunity to further practice calligraphy, of course. So I used a 1.5 Leonard manuscript nib with the Tête de Plume ink, purple ink that I got in Montreal. I have a video with a journal with me from that Montreal trip if you'd like to hear more about that. So that's all I used. As for the notebook, I used the Handsome Zebra, which is an Etsy shop. I will put the name on the screen. She makes these awesome sketchbooks with amazing quality paper. Amazing. I was looking for something that would hold a lot of ink. All I'm using is liquid dip pen and fountain pen ink, so I needed to really hold and not bleed through and not ghost and nothing because I want to use both sides of the page, and it delivered so well. I have this pocket size that would fit in my traveler's notebook, so I would carry it around everywhere with me. Not having the materials was never an issue. So here in my first elastic of my traveler's notebook is where my Handsome Zebra sketchbook is at. And now I'm just gonna show you what I did. I thought it was funny that when I put the title for this sketchbook, I messed up the year. That's a great premonition for the next month. I put 2008 instead of 2018. That's why you see a little piece of paper over it. So yeah, that happened. But carrying on. I started quite strongly. I was really happy with these two pieces. Especially this one, the first prompt. I did use the official Jake Parker Inktober prompts, by the way. For the Poisonous, I basically created a shelving unit with a set of poisons. So essentially, you get to choose how you want to poison your victim, whether it is from this big bottle of slow and painful death to a more tranquil sleep death, to time capsules to delay or advance the time of death, and kiss of death. This is a reverse, so this is kind of like an undo potion. Joy, I imagine that kind of like dying out of laughter. And then here you can just crush the time capsules or something to put them in the chalice and give them to your victim. Started a little more morbid, and then it gets more morbid with the second prompt, Tranquil. I just decided to go with the eternal state of tranquility, and I imagine this being the coffin for a medieval soldier or something after he's done fighting in war, in battle. Then up to day 3 and 4 for roasted, I just wanted to do an old looking, medieval looking oven. There's a lot of medieval influence in this sketchbook, and this is definitely one of them. There's no story here. I just wanted to do an oven. And then for spell, it's very self-explanatory. It's just a spell brewing in a cauldron. In order to, these were fun to do. I just basically would pull a bit of ink and with my finger just like smear it on purpose. This one was accidental, but these were on purpose, kind of just as if it's a spell going out of control. Then for day 5 and 6, day 5 I took it very literally. Again, there's no story behind it. It's funny because I was not excited for this prompt. I was like, oh, a chicken, that sounds boring. I guess I'll just draw a chicken. And then I really got into drawing this rooster, and I actually thoroughly enjoyed it. This ended up being probably one of my favorite sketches from Inktober. For drooling, I went with something that makes me quote-unquote drool, which is lemon meringue pie. That's my favorite dessert. I love it, so I just drew one there. It's a little wobbly, not the best execution, but it's okay, I did it. This is the point where exhausted is the right word, I guess. I was starting to stop paying attention to it, I guess, and I stopped prioritizing Inktober and other things. Life started getting in the way. I was working a lot this week. I basically working 2 jobs, my day job and theater work, and this, like, I hate it. I did not like how this turned out. It's not even symmetrical. I wanted to take advantage of Star to do my zodiac sign, which is Sagittarius, hence the bow and arrow. And I wanted to do a centaur, but that didn't happen. Then I ended up, oh, I'll just do the bow and arrow because I don't have that much time. And then that didn't even turn out the way I expected. By the way, and I mentioned this before, part of the challenge that I gave to myself with Inktober was to not sketch out things in pencil before. When I say this is all I used with the sketchbook, that's it. I would just go straight in with the ink, no planning, no nothing. Basically to also practice sketching in a more speedy manner, not really worrying about how it will turn out in the end, but just sketching for the sake of sketching and practicing. For Exhausted, following with the theme of Tranquil and the coffin, this is basically, again, post-battle, exhausted soldier already dropping the sword on top of a rock and taking a break from fighting. Then for day 9 and 10, Precious and Flowing. For Precious, I just did a letter. Lately, I've really been getting into letter writing. I've been writing more letters to family and friends and pen pals. So I did a little wax seal with the letter M for my name. This was a fairly simple one to make, but it's cute. I like the one that turned out, and it took me like 20 minutes. So that was an efficient use of my little time. For Flowing, I really wanted to make a long, flowing, medieval-looking dress. So that's what I did. I'm not a huge fan how it turned out, but honestly, it was a lot of fun to make. I had some time this day, clearly, so I really enjoyed making this, even though it didn't turn out the way I wanted it to. Going on to day 11 and 12, for Cruel, basically I wanted to reference the first day by using the slow and painful bottle of one of the death options. I didn't notice it would look kind of like a bottle of ketchup pouring into a chalice, but it's okay. But I did try to recreate the same chalice I did here and that same bottle into Cruel as a cruel way to kill someone. Then for Whale, again, just like the chicken, I took it literally. I just drew a part of a whale. I didn't have much time this day, clearly. I didn't even do the whole whale, but it was fun to focus on a certain part of the animal. It was a fun one to make, even if it was a quick one. For day 13 and 14, Garden and Clock. Here, by the way, I should use a waterproof ink next year, probably. I'll remember that. I love this ink, but it's not waterproof, and this happens. So, oh well, I was in a coffee shop. But for Guarded, I just did a medieval door. Again, not a fan of how it turned out. There's like so many wobbly lines around here, but it was fun to make. I enjoyed it, and I definitely would like to develop this into something bigger, like maybe doing a whole, like creating a whole storefront or house front that looks very medieval and use this kind of door. That would be fun. And then for clock, very literal, just a clock tower. I like clock towers. That's one of my favorite things to see when I travel places. I always take pictures of clock towers. So that was a no-brainer for me. I had to do a clock tower. I did pay attention to the time that is showing in the clock tower. If you notice, it's 10:14 because I figured that was the date. And it would be a fun little thing to add. And this is where I stopped for a while. So I left the spaces thinking like, oh, I could catch up, but then I didn't. So anyway, what days are we in? Okay, yeah, 15 and 16 I skipped. And then 17 and 18 are here. So for swollen, I really didn't want to just draw a person with a swollen cheek or something, so I figured just to draw something that gives a lot of people allergies, mushrooms being one of those. It doesn't give me allergies, but honestly, I just wanted to draw something more fun. So I also didn't have much time this day, so I just did a little mushroom that says eat me. I also thought of Alice in Wonderland, Alice swelling up into a giant human of a person. So I thought that was like a fun take on the word, on the prompt. Then for bottle, this one has a little more story behind it. I imagined this being essentially like the bottle of life with the tree of life. So essentially having the vision of what would be useful to conserve in a bottle until apocalypse. If every form of life were to disappear from planet Earth, somebody still kept this bottle, and once you open it, the tree of life restores the life throughout the world. So I did like coming up with that story and executioning it. This is another one that would be a fun thing to develop into like a story or something, so I might work on that. Then we have a few more days of nothing. And on to day 23 and 24. 23 for muddy. I immediately thought of children playing outside, of course. I don't know why the image of like a child that shouldn't be playing outside at that moment, but she did. Kind of like a little girl running late for dinner or something, so she's wearing a nice dress and she got it all muddy on the bottom for playing outside. And here I used the same technique as in the spell one, the cauldron one, where I just pulled ink and then scratched it on with my finger. So that was a very fun thing to make, very inky, but very fun. Also, I've loved for a long time drawing fabric and dresses and that kind of thing because I love playing with the folds and the shadow. This is the first time I did that with just a pen. So it was interesting to experiment with that because it's so much easier to do when you have a gradient, whether that's a grayscale or a variety of colors. This was way trickier, but I really enjoyed this one. It was a lot of fun. I liked the way it turned out. That was a fun one. Chop, clearly I didn't have much time this day, and so it's axe and wood, chop, straightforward. Nothing to say about that. Prickly, I went with the spinning wheel from Sleeping Beauty, which is one of my all-time favorite movies overall, not just Disney movies. I love it. I've always loved it. I love other renditions that come from it. I enjoy the original story as well. I actually saw this movie recently as an adult again, and I think I like it better. It's such a gorgeous movie. The animations are beautiful. The music is phenomenal. I'm a huge fan, so I had to draw that. And then a few more days in blank for 29, and I do believe this is the last day. I did not do anything else. For 29, the prompt was double, so I will find any excuse I can to draw moths, as you may have found out by now if you've seen my channel for a while. But I love drawing moths. I'm fascinated by moths. I love watching them and learning about them and getting fun facts about them. Double because they're so symmetrical, naturally symmetrical, that I just thought of that. And I also like the double, actually quadruple in this case, eyes, the false eyes. It just seemed like a fun way to use this prompt. And that is it. That is my Inktober sketchbook. Let me know if you did Inktober, and if you did, whether you finished it or not. It's okay if you didn't, as long as you still learned something from it and got something from it. Hopefully next year I'll finish it. I'll definitely do it again though. It was a fun challenge to tackle, and I did get good things from it. So I am really looking forward to see what else I can learn from it next year. Thank you so much for joining and watching this video. Subscribe if you like this kind of content. I do mostly journaling stuff, but there's some artistic stuff here and there as well. And have a fantastic day. Bye!